Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube page. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys had a lovely week. Today I'm gonna bring to you guys the word, and really like this word, the Holy Spirit gave it to me in such a timely manner. This week I was really going through a lot, and sometimes, some of the things that we go through in life, it doesn't have to be something physical, right? To the point where people notice that we're actually going through something. Most of the battle and most of the challenges that we face really happen in our minds, right? And it's usually in our thought life. And this is really a word that the Holy Spirit really gave me, and he spoke to me in a way that just brought a lot of encouragement and strength. And so that's why I wanted to do this video, and to share it with you guys through this. And so the title of my message is "Your Strength is Connected to Your Obedience." And I don't know who's watching this video, but maybe what is one area in your life right now that you really are needing God's strength. It might be in your marriage, it might be in your relationships, it might be in your school, it might be in your workplace. I know that was one thing that I've been praying for this week, and for God to give me strength in my workplace. And so the chapter that I'm going to read to you guys today is actually found in Judges chapter 6. Let me just read to you guys just for the sake of context, and then I'm going to break it down and just share what the Holy Spirit said to me. Okay, so I'm going to just start from verse 7 in Judges chapter 6. When the Israelites cried out to the Lord because of the Midian, he sent them a prophet who said, "This is what the Lord of God, this is what the Lord, the God of Israel says. I brought you out of Egypt, out of the hand of slavery. I rescued you from the hand of the Egyptian, and I delivered you from the hand of all of your oppressors. I drove them out before you and gave you their land. I said to you, I am the Lord your God. Do not worship the God of Ammonites in whose land you live. But you have not listened to me." The angel of the Lord came and sat under the oak tree that belonged to Joash the Abiezrite, where his son Gideon was threshing wheat in a winepress to keep it from the Midianites. When the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon, he said, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." "Pardon me, my Lord," Gideon replied, "but if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us? Where are all his wonders that our ancestors told us about when they said, 'Did not the Lord bring us out of Egypt?' But now the Lord has not abandoned us. But now the Lord has abandoned us and given us into the hand of the Midian." The Lord turned to him and said, "Go in the strength you have and save Israel out of the Midian's hand. Am I not sending you?" This was so good because, just to unpack this text a little bit, Gideon was a man who was terrified, Israelites were not being, obedient to God. And so the Lord gave them over to these Ammonites and to these Midianites who were their enemies. And so they were struggling. They were going through it because of their disobedience, because they hadn't trusted the Lord. And so the Lord starts speaking to Gideon, and he was a prophet that he used to communicate, his word to the Israelites. And Gideon was like, "Lord, pardon me. I can't do this," and he was scared and he was terrified. And see, one of the points that the Holy Spirit spoke to me through this was actually found in Judges 6, chapter 10, where it said, "I said to you, I am the Lord your God. Do not worship the God of the Ammonites." And I want to tell you this, your strength will always be connected to your obedience. See, the reason why Gideon felt like he couldn't do it was because they weren't being obedient to God, right? They weren't walking in the holiness that Christ was actually, wanting them to walk in. And one of the things I want to ask you maybe in this moment is, what is one thing in your life right now that you're not being obedient to? And what if that lack of strength is really coming because of your lack of obedience to God? Think about it. And see, and the other thing that the Holy Spirit said to me was actually found in verse 11 that said, "The angel of the Lord came and sat under the oak tree where his son Gideon was threshing wheat in a winepress to keep it from the Midianites." See, when I was reading this is one thing the Holy Spirit said to me. God's encouraging strength always comes to us while we're in the field of our purpose. See, Gideon didn't, he wasn't just sitting around feeling defeated, feeling like he can't take over these Midianites. No. Instead, what was he doing? He was threshing wheat, right? He was working in his field. He was doing what he knew to do. And see, so many of us, when we don't feel God's strength, when we don't feel God's power working in our life, what we do is just we sit down and we don't do anything. But I really want to encourage you through this video, but what if the strength that the Holy Spirit wants to release in your life is really connected to what you are doing right now and how faithful you are in the thing that you can control right now? And so that's a question for you. Are you in your field trying to work on the purpose that God has for you? Ask that. And the other thing that the Holy Spirit, again, said to me when I was really thinking about this, context and really thinking about my life and just even complaining about, God, I don't feel strong. Why am I going through this? And it was in chapter 12, in verse 12, that said, when the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon, he said, "Ooh, the Lord is with you, mighty warrior." "Pardon me, my Lord," Gideon replied. "But if the Lord is with us, why does all this happen to us?" And see, when I read this is one thing that the Holy Spirit said to me. God's strength that's promised to be released to us doesn't consult the difficulty of our path. See, when Gideon was really even communicating with God and saying, "God, if you're real, where is this God that our ancestors talked about," right? He was seeing the situation he was in right at that moment. He was seeing the difficulty that he was in, right? But see, when the Lord said, "I am with you," it doesn't really consult the difficulty that he was walking through. And so I want to encourage you. It doesn't matter what challenge, it doesn't matter what difficulty that you're walking through. Maybe you're trusting God and God has not showed out to you in the way that you wanted. Maybe you've been praying and believing and trusting God, but somehow you don't see those changes in your life. But I want to tell you, the Holy Spirit is telling you right now and saying, God's strength doesn't consult the difficulty that you're walking through. And just as he told Gideon, "Get up, you mighty warrior," I want to say that to you today. Get up, you mighty warrior of God. Whether you're a woman or whether you're a guy watching this, you have the strength to keep on going. And last but not least, the other thing that the Holy Spirit said to me is, through this, he said, the path of the unknown will always make you question if God is even with you. See, Gideon was really complaining and he was like, "God, are you really even with me?" It was because he couldn't see what the future holds for Israel, right? It looked like they were being attacked on every wall. It's like these Midianites were coming, these Ammonites were coming on them. But see, the Lord said, "I am with you, mighty warrior." And I want to encourage you through that. Maybe the future that you're expecting is kind of is really not being clear. Maybe you're saying, "God, where are you? I expected you to show up in my life. I expected that I'd be having these things in the season of my life. But God, I don't feel strong. I don't feel your presence." But see, I want to encourage you that God sees you and he wants to give you that strength. And so the last thing that the Holy Spirit said to me, before I close this off and just want to, kind of challenge me, actually, this one, is what he said. Our lack of strength comes from our lack of control. And the reason why I said this is because the reason why Gideon felt weak, or the reason why he felt like he couldn't do that, was because he wasn't really in control of the situation. And that's us, right? Most of the times our strength is always connected to our comfort. When we know how things will be, or when we tend to be comfortable, we feel like we have more control. That makes us feel strong. And one of the things that the Holy Spirit said to me through this, he said, "Abby, in fact, I love that you don't feel strong." That means because when we feel strong, we are mostly, in control of certain areas in our life. And in areas that we are, in control and, we're comfortable. But as believers, are we really called to be comfortable, or are we really called to rely on the power and the strength of God? And so if you're actually feeling less strong right now, it means you are in a good place right now, because you're not comfortable and you are not in control. And that is a great way for the power of God, for the strength of God to come and to empower you and to encourage you. And I hope this message was, helpful. And just read through it, Judges chapter 6, the story of Gideon. It really encouraged me this week while I wasn't feeling strong, but hope that encouraged someone today. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video, and make sure to like and subscribe if you like today's message, and bye.
All the darkest